Time for our next conversation, and this one regards neuro-linguistic programming. Now, our next guest, Eileen Smith, is a transformational force in the space of emotional healing, personal development, and gender-based violence advocacy. Now, she is a qualified life coach and a neuro-linguistic programming practitioner, and the founder of the Emotional Baggage Depot, a powerful platform that creates safe spaces for dialogue, healing, and self-reflection. Thank you so much for joining us, Eileen. Welcome to African Diaries.
Thank you so much for having me. Good evening. How are you?
I am fantastic. Thank you for asking. Let's get into the conversation now. For those who are new to your work, who are new to neuro-linguistic programming altogether, what is it and why is it such a powerful tool in emotional healing?
So NLP is more that's the short term. It's more grounding tools. It's just tools that you give people to ground themselves because we always anchored in trauma, unfortunately. And it's so much as touch. The best way to explain it is if you think of a memory, let's say if you smell chicken, this person might say, oh, this chicken smells good, but someone else, it might remind them of their mom. So it's digging into basically the things that we are linked to, what we have, given meaning to things. We give meaning to things and we don't even understand the things we've given meaning to. So it's basically just unpacking, going to that and grounding ourselves and just trying to unpack basically that aspect of trauma.
Eileen, yes, please do finish your thought.
Sure. The one for trauma specifically, I would say that with the gender-based violence and deep trauma is your lifeline. You just go back, and a lot of people don't want to go back. But it's not as easy as it sounds, to be quite honest, to want to do it, because NLP requires you to really go in to dig deep.
Yeah. Eileen, I know that our brains gravitate towards negative, and I say negative with caution, sort of gravitate towards negative responses because this is a way of self-preservation. So if you know where not to go to, you're more likely to survive. Why is this the state of our being?
I don't think it's a state of our being. I think it's a state of understanding. A lot of people would rather hold on to pain than to healing. And the reason is because taking on healing takes accountability. So, accepting a certain level of pain and accepting a certain traumatic event takes a lot of courage. So it's more the fear of facing that pain.
Yeah.
And that's something, the only reason I actually went into this was to understand my own pain. I didn't only do NLP, I did access bars, I did Reiki, when I was desperate. I was just desperate to understand how this pain was consuming me so much. And one day I was driving and I said, you know what? I own it. It's mine. This pain is mine. I feel it. It's here. And now how do I start to deal with it?
Yeah.
Because it was dealing with me. I was becoming my pain. So I think it's more a lot of people won't understand that we go through pain. We are not pain. We go through loss, but the people we lose are not lost. They're still people. So it again goes down to the things we attach meaning to. When someone passes away, it's no longer, people don't identify them as the person, but they identify them as the person that's left. But we forget that they are still that person to us. So it's just the things we attach meaning to.
Eileen, pardon there. I find it rather interesting that you speak about becoming versus owning, and I'm saying becoming versus owning because a lot of the thought process around dealing with trauma and pain is that if I own it, I become it. How do we reverse that understanding and help people gauge that owning an issue doesn't mean you become it. It means you are acknowledging it to change the context.
I feel versus I am. So I feel sad. I am not sad. I feel like I'm going through a depressive period. So a lot of people as well confuse depression with a period. We go through depressive periods. It's human nature. It doesn't make us depressed people. So a lot of people attach I am sad, I am this, I am that. But no one acknowledges I feel. It's an emotion. Because feeling something is the ownership. Being it is just acknowledging that it's there, but not actually dealing with it.
Sure.
So I think that's the difference for me. I can speak for myself, but that's how I have viewed it. And, I don't speak from a place of watching people. I speak from a place of going through it myself. And I realized that the only way I could get to where I am today is because I had to go through it. And going through it was terrible. I mean, it's painful. It is really painful because you have to go, when you go through a traumatic event, that started somewhere else in your life. So you have to go back to where it started and find out where you are when you're going through it. Because where you are is going to determine how you respond to it. So there's a lot of things that you have to unpack in the process of becoming or going through. And it's ugly. It's not a process where healing is ugly before it becomes beautiful. And that is the reality of it, because you have to feel before you can actually deal with it. And a lot of people don't want to feel it.
Yeah. The voice there of neuro-linguistic programming practitioner, that is Eileen Smith, joining us this evening. And we are looking at the power of neuro-linguistic programming, but also her work in the space through the Emotional Baggage Depot. If you want to send through your questions, do find us on WhatsApp, +278 288 6684. Again, that number +278 288 6684. Eileen, let's talk about the Emotional Baggage Depot. That is a striking name. Yeah? Very striking name.
It was actually quite funny. So when after I did the course and I was qualified, accredited, I was dealing with a lot of women. I would sit with them and would talk. And if I'm quite honest, I wouldn't be where I was if it wasn't for another woman. She helped me through a lot of my processes. She would encourage me to feel what I feel and deal with it, and literally just allow myself to feel it. So when I did the course, we charge a lot of money. In my opinion, it's not for everyone, and I just got to a point where I just thought that, healing shouldn't be a privilege. I don't feel that it should be gatekeeping. We shouldn't gatekeep healing. And that's where we started. I got my friends together. It started very small, and I would do the Emotional Baggage Depot, and I would give the women tools. So as opposed to me having a one-on-one, charging someone $750, $850 an hour, which, it's quite a lot of money if you think about it, because you need a lot of sessions.
Yeah. Sure.
I just decided, let me give you the tools, and I would do it through storytelling and just examples. And, for me, that was so important, because in the group of women that would come, and we're talking women that have been abused, we're talking women that have gone through different journeys. The one thing that stood out the most is so many of them were fighting a younger self. And that for me was mainly my focus, was the younger self, allowing her to be free and literally just accepting that you do what you do when you know what you know, and back from there. So it's self-love, it's self-reflection, and it's truly learning to understand who we look at in the mirror. So it was, with COVID, a lot of things did slow down, and I have like 100 children, so I'm always looking after my kids. I'm joking, I don't, but yeah, it feels like 100. So it's just, I focused, I lost so much time. Let me use the correct wording.
Mm.
I lost myself to time
Yeah.
because I was going through so much that my children were robbed of me. You know,
Sure.
when you get to a place where loss is your comfort, you're afraid to love the ones that need the love the most. And when I got to a place of understanding and peace, I
Mm.
decided to give my children what they didn't have when they needed it.
Mm.
And I think that's where now I've been pouring myself into is my kids and raising them.
Sure. You spoke about having 100 kids, and I know that was a joke, but the reality is that we tend to go back to the place and the space and the age and the headspace that we were in when that trauma impacted us. I want to look at how this manifests on the daily. And the reason I want this to be brought into context is because sometimes we think we're healed because we don't talk about it. You know, we don't address it, we ignore it. And when the emotions come rushing in because familiar spaces that are recreated in our environment happen, we say, that's who I am. Right. And that's how we think we are owning what is happening to us. So I want us to go and just address how this unprocessed trauma shows up in our relationships, how it shows up in our daily decision making.
You know, I think I'm going to take it back, and I will take it back to, let's call it a 14-year-old girl.
Hmm.
We'll take it into a cultural background. Okay.
Yeah.
14-year-old girl, strict household, goes out, let's call it, sneaks out of the house, gets raped. What does she do? She won't tell mom, she won't tell dad, because why? I wasn't meant to be out. When
Mm.
mom and dad find out, it's, why did you do that? Why were you there? How did you provoke? And that word provoke is a very powerful word.
Mm.
And I think it's a word that a lot of people carry into their adulthood with the people that go through trauma. I'm going to speak on the trauma side.
Yeah.
What does she carry through her life? Shame. And a lot of people make mistakes when they feel shame. If you look at many decisions that are made as adults, it's normally when we are feeling shame or we are actually vulnerable. And a lot of people confuse vulnerability and shame. So those two,
Mm.
it's, you know, bad decisions are often made in a bad state of mind. And we never go back and say, you know what? I forgive you. I forgive my parents on this day, you know, for not having my back. Or I forgive myself for not realizing that I was the victim
Mm.
because this person is not able to acknowledge that something bad was done to them. You know, then now she carries this into her adulthood and she starts attracting men that take advantage of her. Why? Because she
Mm.
hasn't been able to build those boundaries as a woman now. She hasn't been able to see that what was done to her then was something that is wrong. So now,
Yeah.
if you're not taught right and wrong from young, how are you now going to know the difference as an adult? How are you going to know when he hits you and he says, I'm sorry, I love you, but you have to forgive me? She'll forgive him and she'll keep going back because why? She doesn't know better.
Mm.
You
Sure.
know, but it's not 90% of the women that are abused, for instance, go back to their abusers.
Mm.
And that is a sad reality because why? They are believed that they are small. It boils down to self-love.
Yeah.
And we carry so much of this, you know, even with girls and their dads or their moms. Separation anxiety starts from such a young age. You know, you might be having a meltdown and mom has to leave for work, and you would interpret that in your head that this is rejection. And then you grow up, and whenever someone wants to leave, you feel rejected. And you start
Mm.
manifesting this, you know.
Mm.
Um, the biggest, the for me, I know that my biggest enemy is my mind.
Yeah.
And I've also realized that my mind creates a lot of things that don't exist. So I'm
Mm.
very careful with how I think. You know, that's where NLP came in very handy, by the way, is when a thought comes up. You know, I had terrible anxiety attacks to the point where I had to go to hospital. And if a
Mm.
thought comes up, I would sit and speak to my anxiety. And I would say, why are you here? What happened today? What triggered it? Is it from now? Is it an emotion? Is it real? Is it a thought? And you have to now start having these conversations with yourself. Is it mine to hold on to? And when I realized that it wasn't mine to hold on to, I would literally, whenever the thought would come back to my mind, I would say to the thought, you are just a thought. You're not my reality.
Yeah.
And that is how I actually managed to get to a point of stillness, to not have these constant thoughts, that would just, because, we don't realize how much we carry. And then we carry this relationship into the next relationship. And that's what the baggage depot was for a lot of people, was stop giving other people things to carry that doesn't belong to them. Because now it becomes a collective baggage for everybody to take on. Like, we just have to really learn how to unpack. And that is what really coaching is, it's learning how to truly unpack.
Yeah. Eileen, for individuals who are listening to this conversation and they're saying, I want to unpack, I may be scared, I may be, even part of me is still resisting that I need this help. A part of me is still fighting the reality to say that this is what happens to me on the daily, the weekly, the monthly, sporadically. Where do they get a hold of you for your services?
I can send... Sure, do you mind? I don't know. Can we send them the email address when we're
Absolutely.
done with the call? Is that okay?
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's fine.
All right. And
So
are you
I
on?
think,
Yeah.
sorry, I am on social media,
Yeah.
locked accounts, but again, they can just send me an email address and, we can definitely have the conversation. I'm very happy to help. And I just want to go back to what that person just said. Yes, you want to, you know that you need to, but it all comes back to be kind to yourself first.
Sure.
Those things that you feel you need to unpack might not even be as heavy as you've made them. You know that saying, misery loves company. Misery is your thoughts. It's the thoughts of the things that weigh us down. That's, we literally allow these thoughts to weigh us down. And that's literally taking it and saying, listen, are you mine? Do I need to carry you with me? I don't want it. Take it, it's yours. And a lot of the stuff that's given to us doesn't even belong to us to hold on to.
Sure. The voice there of transformational force in the industry, in the space of emotional healing, personal development, and gender-based violence advocacy. She's a qualified life coach, a neuro-linguistic programming practitioner, and the founder of Emotional, or rather the Emotional Baggage Depot, a powerful platform that creates safe spaces for dialogue, healing, and deep self-reflection. Eileen, thank you so much for joining us this evening.
Welcome. You're most welcome. May God bless and keep you.
Oh, as with you.
Thank you.
It is 20 minutes before midnight in Central Africa time. If you have just joined us and you're saying, Sheila, I need Eileen's email address, we'll be getting that to you shortly. But for now, some music.